Hello everybody, welcome back to English Otherwise. I am Mr. James aka Cameron, and in a moment we're going to be breaking down the news. First, we get up, we make ourselves some coffee, then we highlight the headlines, and then slowly pick them apart into little pieces so that way you can better understand the very visual vocabulary that is used. Expand your English vocabulary and maybe understand this crazy world a little bit better. And so, as usual, good morning, mushrooms, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers, sisters, mothers, misters, and all my cousins. It's time to plug in U.S. report assesses. Now, assesses, to assess. It means to evaluate, assess. Yes? Syllable stress on the second S here. Assesses China intentionally concealed the severity of the virus. Now, we've had concealed quite a few times, and that just means to hide something. Intentionally, that just means on purpose. It was not accidental. And so the US report has assessed that China, on purpose, hid the severity or the seriousness, how hardcore, how dangerous, how deadly the virus is. Trump claims as he ups the pandemic death estimate to up. I'll give you one good guess what that means. To raise. Logical. And that's one of the reasons that I do use CNN here, because they don't always use the most formal of language. And exposed, ooh, geez Louise, how did I miss that? To expose, you could say, is the opposite of conceal. Vulnerabilities, which remain, which stay, which still exist 20 years later, is the quality of being vulnerable. But what does vulnerable mean? Vulnerable, it's become quite popular. There's the TED Talk by Brené Brown. In its core, to be vulnerable to something, vulnerable to attack. And so really it means easily attackable, easily damaged, could be mentally, physically, and in other ways. However, by exposing your own vulnerabilities, it's actually a show of strength instead of trying to hide them, trying to conceal your own vulnerabilities. By admitting them and addressing them, it's a good leadership trait and a sign of strength. So says her TED Talk and a lot of the media out there nowadays. This is a common verb that native speakers use, and it's really not that hard to figure out yourself. However, I've over the years had many students ask, to head, is this a verb? And so yes, more Americans are heading outside while the virus is still rising. And to head somewhere, just like if you're running, you're leaning forward, and what is leading is your head. And so to head somewhere means to be going somewhere, and your head is what leads the way. If you see a friend on the street, remember, don't touch them, maintain safe social distancing. However, you'd be like, oh yeah, where are you going? I'm just headed to the store to get a baguette. I'm headed here, I'm headed there. A lot of the headlines make it look like the world is headed for more trouble, more economic trouble. And so to be moving in the direction of something. To allege that somebody did something. It's to point the finger, to put the blame on them. It is an allegation, prepares for, dependent preposition. Unprecedented campaign against Trump. Unprecedented. Never has existed before, never has been seen before. And so this is going to be bigger and better and wilder and weirder. I can guarantee it's probably going to be all of those things. I didn't keep up with the news over the weekend, so I can't comment on that. This pandemic is not unprecedented because we have seen a pandemic like this before, almost exactly 100 years ago. Issue a sobering warning about the future. And remember, when we're talking about the future and the past, you need to use the. To issue, to post, to put out, to produce. Governments issue currency, we can issue warnings. Sobering in this case just means very serious. And it's, well, sober as an adjective typically is the opposite of intoxicated, say drunk or high or something like that. And so as a phrasal verb, people say to sober up. And so it's like the world's having fun, maybe had some drinks and everything, yay, yay, yay. And then the experts are like, yo, here's a warning for you. And the world goes, oh, maybe we should just stop dancing and having fun. It caused them to become more serious. Them, the world, I guess, because we're not serious right now. We're just all having fun. It's like a contact tracker. However, to trace, it's like you have a picture and then you have another piece of empty paper and you put that on top and you can see the first picture through the second piece of paper, and then you use your pen and you follow the lines. And you follow the lines of the original one. You are tracing the lines, following the lines. They're following the contacts, and they're not just trying to contain the outbreak. They are racing to do it. They're going full speed as hard as they can. Hopefully they don't hit a wall. Okay, from last week. Here's a good one, and it's going to be similar and related to another one that we've got down below, but to squash. What Asian nations know about squashing COVID-19 means basically to crush, to press down and crush something, much like you would do with some insects in your kitchen. You just put on your boot and you squash that cockroach. Hopefully you don't have roaches. Down, but in this case to try and get it out of existence. And it's interesting though because it's very visual and nice, because COVID-19 is a virus, and a virus is a disease or illness, and we commonly refer to them as bugs. And so, yes, it's like they're squashing the bug. Dear Cameron, dear teacher, what's the difference between squish and squash? Ah, excellent question. To squish also refers to squeezing. However, it isn't particularly in a downward fashion. And so if you think about it, if you're gonna go somewhere, once upon a time, you would take like 6 friends and you'd put them into one car to go to the movies or something like that. And so sometimes the car would be very, very full, and you could say, oh, I can squeeze or I can squish into the back seat. Onomatopoeia is a word that is intended to sound like the action it performs, much like knock, bang, ring, etc. And to squish, like if you're squishing a bug, it's kind of wet and gross. You can squeeze into the back seat, you can squish in there, but you would never say that you'd squash in there, because squash implies downwards, and it's also tied to the idea of removing something from existence, to wipe it out, to get rid of it. But man was arrested for camping at Disney Island. And who was he arrested by? Well, who does the arresting? The cops, the police. And so they said, dude, what are you doing here? And he said, oh, I just thought it was a tropical paradise. I didn't know what I was doing. I think he was just playing dumb, as we say. He knew what he was doing. He was on a magical, tropical Disney island. But who knows? Maybe not. He can plead ignorance. Ooh, recycling more vocabulary. This metal pole right here, this is actually for hanging coats and things on. However, if I fell off of the ladder onto this thing and went through me like that, I would be impaled on this metal pole. Ancient Romanian king that was inspiration for Count Dracula, Vlad the Impaler, and he would leave people on spikes outside of his castle, something like that. But so somebody shot an alligator with 2 arrows, and now there's a hunt for the suspect. And just to stick with a lot of this legal and crime terminology that we've had, the suspect is the person who police suspect of having done it. And so the possible perpetrator. Bird watchers are always trying to spot rare breeds of birds, notice something, to see something. And these are these giant hornets, and they're crazy. They're like adjective, noun, invasion, verb, to invade. And so like that, they all go into an area where they're not supposed to be. International trade and travel, zebra mussels. If you want some interesting video, look up Asian silver carp in the Illinois River, and you'll see these huge fish. Then as they're boating, the fish jump out of the water, and not so funny, but many people have been killed by them, because if you're going 20, 30 miles an hour, looking the wrong way, and you get hit in the head with a 6-kilo fish, that can do some serious damage. But there's lots of interesting videos. Asian silver carp, invasive species. Common theme in today's world. Murray joins Federer. So I'm assuming that this is about tennis, in backing a merger. Now, backing and similar terms we've had many times before. To back somebody, to have their back, means to support them. Yeah, you're helping move it forward. Something tries to push back against them, you're helping push them forward. You are backing them. And they're backing a merger. Mergers and acquisitions. Well, an acquisition is when one company goes and buys the other company, much like you always hear about Google and Facebook acquiring other companies, either for their technology, for their talent, or their trademarks. 3 T's right there. But a merger is a bit more equal. It's where two companies come together to form a bigger company, either to perform better, control the market, etc. Just like if you're getting on the highway, if you're driving and you're this car over here, there's a ramp that you come onto the highway, and then you have to merge into traffic. Use your turn signal, check your blind spot, and then join the flow. Yeah, and so merging, coming together. What are they merging in tennis, the world of tennis? That I do not know. Here, the press just means the media, journalism, etc. Coming from originally the printing press, the way that they would make books and so on, and then later newspapers. So the press is journalism, the news. Quash does still have this idea, like squash, push it down, but in this case it's more formal, and it's used meaning to stop something from happening, or then also again to put it out of existence. Quash the press. Quash a rebellion, to quash some protesters. The government was trying to quash the protests in Hong Kong earlier this year, late last year. Maybe they found that out in the end that somebody was innocent, and so the judge is going to erase their record to quash their prior convictions. So we got squish, squash, and quash. I don't know. They're funny words. Phonetically funny, more than anything. Now, back to Biden, who's now facing allegations. There was no hint of allegation. The Obama team vetted Biden. And to vet somebody, usually for a position, something important, means to do a very thorough, very deep, and very complete research into their past to find out if they have any hidden secrets that might prevent them from doing their job successfully, or people not liking them and therefore not voting for them, because they're going to become the public face of something. For example, the president. And they found no hint of allegations. So the point being, right now there are allegations of sexual impropriety, that he did something bad to some woman, which investigators will investigate. But in the past, they found no hint of allegation. And so not even an allegation, but no hint of it. A hint, 2 hint are like clues, little pieces that you can follow towards a larger whole. And so they found nothing back then. However, suddenly now it comes up. We've had this whole headline before, but the brink of bankruptcy, the brink of destruction, the brink of something terrible always. Remember, stay away from the brinks. But it's the edge of something. Something is about to happen. It was going down, turned her company around. Dependent preposition, accused of murder, or accused of gerund, starting the pandemic. Any relation to a vet? With a vet, we've got 2 different types of vets there, friend of Ernie. We have veterinarians, animal doctors, and veterans. And actually, I do not know if that is going to be, if they are actually related. And so, I'm actually, as we speak, looking this up. And so not the noun, the veteran. I'm just looking for the verb. And to study something closely or examine a person's record to see that it's acceptable or accurate. and I'm just looking at a learner's dictionary, and it does not give the etymology for this. The headlines. Those are the headlines for Monday, the 4th of May. The lockdown has partially lifted here in Spain, at least to have a look, and because it would be nice to see the sea. And so that's it. I wish you all a happy week, and hopefully see you here tomorrow morning. Thanks to everybody, like, subscribing, sharing. Enjoy your breakfast, and hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.